we're going to share things with you. This is my first time using this system.
Yeah, 5 people online.
So we're going to all learn it together. So once again, John, you want them to
Yep.
mute your computers, and if they want to say something, they unmute.
Yeah,
Correct?
and if you guys want to say something, you have a chat box that's over to your right side, the second one down after leave, and you can just chat something. Herbert have the chat box open so you can see what you say. We see we got Reggie, Derek, Carmen just logged on. Carmen, we will not be on Facebook today, just so you know. And who is that, Herb?
That's Antoine McMillan.
Okay.
McMullen. And we have a phone number without a name, but that's okay. We talk to phone numbers too, unless you're the FBI.
Hey, everybody. This is Christopher Acox on the call.
Okay, this is exciting. Okay. So that's Chris, you said? You said your name is Chris?
Yeah, this is Christopher Acox on the phone listening in.
Okay, Christopher, that's good. You don't sound like you're from the FBI or nothing.
No.
So do I have some people who want to be developers on the line here with us? So thank you very, very much. Our very first webinar. And, we rolled it out that we would talk about hard money. So I got to stay true and have some discussion with you about hard money. But I want to talk to you about that at the very end. Because here at Strather Academy, you got to either find the deal, fund the deal, finance the deal, fix the deal, and flip the deal. And I want to spend a little time with you talking to you about how you can find the property. And when I say finding a deal, I'm not talking about, look, I found something. No. I'm talking about you controlling it. Getting control of the deal, then you got it. Because if you found something that 10 other people found, you ain't found it yet. You understand? So we're talking about find, fund, finance, fix, and flip. Today we're going to talk about find. And at the very end, I'm going to set you up and give you the criteria I want for the hard money. Because at our very next event, we're going to dive deep into the hard money and really some great programs we have here in Detroit that's 100% unique that no other city in the United States have in a partnership with HUD. There's a couple of partnerships. So let me start and get going. So how do you find deals? How do you get them? First of all, whenever HUD puts out, let me back up right now. HUD and Fannie Mae have unleashed just a ton of listings now. They really held these properties back, believe it or not, so they wouldn't. Make sure you mute too, by the way, so everybody's voice and kids doesn't come through. They didn't want to flood the market, but now they rolled them out, and you want to be the very first person to respond. So in other words, if a listing came out at 9 a.m., what time are you going to respond? 9:02, 9:03. If it's a good area and it looks good, respond. Now, what do you mean when I say respond? I want you to tie the deal up. But Herb, I haven't looked at it, haven't seen it. Respond immediately. You understand? And in essence, you want to take control of it. And this is the website, hudhomesusa.org, where you could get started. And you want to be registered with these guys, and you want to get in the game. HUD is a great source of listings, and they're rolling them out. And believe me, you don't even have to worry about the price. The price is so low, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that they would roll those prices out. Actually, they are contributing to our depreciation on our properties, the truth. But I'm not going to argue about it now, as long as we can buy the deals. You know what I mean? Now, you talk about off-market properties. These are very important. It is the most important thing. It's what we call blitzing. Now, what does that mean? That means that you get in your car and you drive around your neighborhood or look out your window, look next door. You can't hardly get off your block unless there's a vacant parcel. Now, some of you are probably out in the suburbs enjoying the good life. But for those of you who are here in the city, you know what I'm talking about. If you do not have a vacant house on your block, then you got two on the next block. And these properties, if they have not hit the market yet, you're in the best position to control them and to pull equity out. Now, let's understand what the objective is. It's how to take and leverage deals, how to pull cash out of deals, how to get profits out of deals. So if a property is listed, and say if it's listed for $60,000, well, that's the top appraisal value you're going to get. Now, I know sometimes there's bid and you'll bid it up a little bit, but you won't be able to put that property, sell that lender the proposition that it's worth $80,000. Let's back up a minute. There's a lot of buoyancy in the marketplace. If I ask all of you online right now, and I showed you a property, and I say, what is it worth? I'm going to get 12 different answers because there's so much buoyancy. Some of you may say Herbert is worth 20. Some of you may say 15. Say, no, that's got to be worth 40 or 50 grand. And then the people on the block hope it's worth 80 or 90 because that's the amount of their mortgages on them. And in some cases, some of you may say it's worth 75,000. So there's a lot of buoyancy in the market. People don't really know what the price is. What determines the price more than anything else is the purchase agreement. What an arm's length buyer and seller is willing to do, that does influence the appraisers. Now, of course, in the suburbs, they trend the value. What I mean by trend, you could buy something for 70,000, and then the next sale is 60,000. Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. We're kind of working out the. After I get through this slide, I got to go to the next one. I think you just clicked. Don't worry, y'all. We're having a little internal control here. So
your arrows will do that.
Okay. Thank you very much. I got it. So if you find a property that have not been listed yet, you can structure the price how you want it. Now, how I normally go about it, I may say to someone, like a sophisticated owner understands that there's a value range. So if the owner wants 50 grand, hell, it may go for 75,000. As a matter of fact, we have a program in Detroit that will put a mortgage for $75,000 over and above the market value. Now just think about that, 75,000. In other words, if a property market value is 50, they will loan up to $125,000 for the acquisition of it or repairs. Or they may loan $125,000 strictly for the acquisition, but in most cases there are some repairs. So you have the ability to resell these properties, but you want to put the biggest price to protect the comps. That's how I tell the homeowners. That's how I get them to agree to a high price, and yet, to let me list it for a high price, and we agree to a lower net for them. Like they may agree to $50,000 net, but I want to list it for $90,000 because I want to protect the comps in the neighborhood. They understand that. Yes.
Yeah, just a commercial break. If anybody of Herb's face or his image, if the video is showing up in the middle of the screen, all you have to do is grab his image and drag it to wherever you want to on the screen, and you can place them so you can see all the different graphics. So
yes, if I'm interfering with the graphics, just move me to the side. You understand? That's the most important thing. We're ironing all of this out, and I'm going to want some feedback to you on how we're doing. So what we want to do is to be good community people. We want to win for everybody. We want to win for the seller. We want to win for the community because we could agree. You say this property is at least worth $100,000 normally, but they've depressed these prices around here. It's ridiculous. So let's try to put it up at a big number. You understand? So we can enhance and influence the market value because we're stuck in a psychological rut. It is impossible for these properties to have this small value. It is impossible for a lot of reasons. The supply and demand factor. Just look at that. There's a gigantic demand and no supply. So how can you have low prices when you got a gigantic demand and no supply? Of course that would push prices up. And even to make matters, there's a whole bunch of reasons. Consider the fact that interest rates are historically low. So you got very low interest rates. You got huge demand. This is the smallest inventory in history since I've been born. I'm a baby boomer. Now, that was a long time ago. You understand? So since the baby boomers been here after the war, this is the lowest inventory in the city of Detroit ever. So this is what we call blitzing. So some of you have just joined me. Just to summarize, you want to list the property at the highest possible price. First, you want to agree with what the seller is going to get. List the property at the highest possible price. You got that? And the difference, you could take it in a commission or repairs. Now, when I say list, quite truthfully, I don't list. I enter purchase agreements. Day one. Why not control it? You know, if you know what you want to do with the property, let's go day one. John is moving me around a little bit.
They said you're too close up on the camera.
Oh, they don't want to see my face. I'm scaring them.
Come through the camera.
I'm scaring the death out of everybody. Okay, y'all. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next piece now. Okay, so we're talking about properties. How about properties that listings have expired? This is really great. Now, when a listing expired, more than likely they didn't get their price. So they expired, then they come back and put it on at a lower value. Well, you'd like to take and capture it right there at the higher value. You understand? And that amount that they were going to lower, that's your seller concessions. That's concessions that's coming back to you. Now, you could, here again, you could put a gigantic commission. So what do you mean, Herb? Commissions are 7 to 10%. Not really. It's whatever you and the seller agree. I got a commission deal for 20% I signed today on a package of houses. I did a deal the other day on a 16 unit and took $125,000 commission on a $535,000 sale. It's illegal to set to regulate commissions. It's what you and the seller agree. Now, there's this reasonable clause. You got to be reasonable if you are in some circumstances, but in the circumstances we have, I don't think you have to really worry about it. Now, some cases, commissions are more than 100%. If HUD sold something or a bank sold something for $1,500 or $1,000, someone may say, I want a minimum $1,500 to do the work. Well, that's 150% commission. So if you're a licensed agent, you could use commissions, and that's where you get your seller concessions. Otherwise, they come from repairs that you want done, improvements that you want. Now, the statute of fraud said everything have to be in writing, everything. If it's not in writing, it's not enforceable. But I normally shake hands with the seller and agree on the seller's net. And agree on the seller's net. We agree on the net itself. And then I have an inspection period to look at the property. Inspection periods are very important. When you're going into tying up a contract with a seller, you want an inspection period that is longer than the time it take you to get the mortgage. Now, I want you to hear what I just said. If you're turning in a mortgage application and you're not an agent and you got a deal that you got a substantial seller concession, you can't put it in writing and put it under the table. It's illegal. I tell you, put it like this. You got to disclose it in the application. But suppose you have a handshake deal with the seller. And you've agreed that the seller get 50 grand, but you're going to write it up for $90,000. You want some improvements, but you want to finish the inspections and make sure everything weigh in first. So you go through and you do your inspections, and when you go through and get your mortgage application approved. Once you get your mortgage application approved, then you go back and you can nail it down with the seller. You know, I want some other things done, blah, 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 blah. Now, how does the seller pay that? The seller may very well pay your cousin, which is your contractor. He may not pay you necessarily. I would suggest that, and depending on who the lender is. But here's what I want to tell you, since we flipped over into contracts, when you're taking contracts. Now, notice, I'm really not talking about listings as much, although you can take and control the deal with a listing. And if you put a big fee in there, it's sweet. It's full control. Think about it. You listed a property and you got a 20% commission. If you present an offer and he don't take it, the seller don't take it, they owe you the 20%. But let's stick with this one item about contracts. One of the things I find very disappointing, and some of you are students of mine, and you know I don't allow you to sign contracts with liability clauses, but 90% of all the clauses I get, the stupid contracts have liability clauses. Let's talk about that for a minute. Suppose that, because the liability clause in the purchase agreement said, if in event of default by the purchaser, the seller at their option shall elect to enforce the terms hereof or declare or take their deposit or declare forfeiture and retain the earnest money deposit. And or it says, in other words, if they have the option to sue you, that's a bad deal. Don't do that. You put your whole estate at risk. Say we're doing a deal and you got $1,000 deposit, but I got 25 grand coming out of the deal. Now I don't get the 25 grand because you default. But let's just say that 25,000, I was going to go buy a deal and I was going to make 100 grand. You didn't close. I didn't make the 100. Take a guess what I sue you for. Yes, that's exactly correct. 100 grand. Not the $1,000, not the 25,000 I was going to get. I can sue you for my lost opportunities, for my damages. You damaged me by default. So you always want to make sure that contract have one option, and it's called sold, S-O-L-E. Say sold. You know, I'm telling you something, sole option, S-O-L-E. You have a sole option, and that is to take the deposit only. Okay, make sure everybody mute your microphones too, because a few noises are coming through a little bit. So let's keep rolling. I hope y'all are enjoying this. Now, here's the secret. I'm pouring my heart out to you guys, but if you paid your money and you're part of my mastermind, I told you I'm going to give it to you. And this is just the beginning. What you're going to get, you won't believe. I guarantee you, you're fixed to get $100,000 worth of education. And everybody's going to do a deal. Make cash offers only, even if you are financing. Why? Because everybody love cash, and a mortgage is cash. But why even put that option in there? Just make it cash. Make it cash. You got 60 business days. Always use business. People don't pay attention. 30 business days. 30 business days is not 30 days. You understand? 30 business days is what, 6 weeks? Closer to 45 days, could be a little bit more, been a little bit less, depending on when it started. If it started on a Friday, first 2 days don't even count. If you count you said do it on a Saturday, the first 2 days don't even count. So it depends on when it started. It could be more than 45 days. But even if you're financing, I want you to use cash only. And the purchase agreements have these options: cash saleable for new mortgage, an assumption, a land contract. Now, in our student corner, that's where you're going to find the forms at. Those of you who are a part of Strather Academy, and if you're not, you're invited to join. You can download these forms, and it's all filled out, but I don't want you filling forms out. Take an expert with you on purchase agreements, because you can get hurt. And you got a coach, and I'm the master. You understand? Okay. You can control deals with listings and have unlimited commissions. I already told you that. You can control the deal with the listing. You get a listing and a 20% commission. My God, if they back out, guess what you get? You get your full amount anyway. Now I'm talking to the agents. And, you know, if you have a friend that's a realtor, you can structure your deals and go to your realtor friend and cut a deal. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. You understand? The bank has got to drink the juice, and the appraiser has got to drink the juice on these sale prices. Right. And what influences an appraiser more than anything else? Can somebody tell me? I tell you what influences. Now, somebody has not muted their mic, because I hear a little moving around, chewing some gum or something. That's okay. So try to mute the mic, if you will. But what influences an appraiser the most is very simple. The price. The price itself. Now, suppose in that price is a nice fat fee, or suppose in that price is a substantial seller concessions. Now, let me explain to you something. The banks don't want to hear anything about no seller concessions, and they're not going to be on a HUD 1. But let's say you got student loans you need to pay off. Let's say you got credit cards that you would otherwise qualify for, your debt to income ratio if you got rid of them. Sometimes you need to use these seller concessions to allow you to buy the property. And I hope you're just not doing deals for others. I hope you're doing deals for yourself. You're doing acquisitions and flips. Now, there's a question, and I'm getting off subject a little bit about whether you should flip or rent. So, it depends, because right now, if you have an opportunity to flip for $75,000 over the market value, well, that's a whole different story. And as I told you earlier, the lenders that we have, which we're going to talk about next, is gives you the ability to mortgage up to $75,000 more. Why would a lender do that? I'll talk to you about that. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But in the meantime, we're talking about finding the deals, controlling the deals, and making sure it's the highest possible price that you could list it for or control it for with built-in concessions. You got to shake the seller's hand up front and agree, but the seller does not have to follow through. He can say, no, I changed my mind. Yes, you take that risk. Or he can say, no, this is what I signed for. This is the deal. So you do, and I have had a hit on like that before in my life, where the seller backed out. No, Mr. Strather, he mispronounced my name, I ain't going to go down like that, man. No way, man. I said, my man, you keep your property, all right? That was it. You know what? He lost that deal, by the way. It was an apartment building, but we won't go there. Let's go to the next thing we want to talk to you about. You always want an inspection period. Always. If you're obtaining a mortgage, agree on the net, then leave an opening to nail down after the mortgage is approved. You cannot nail down the amount of concessions you get before you make the mortgage application because you got to disclose it. There's a word called ALL, all. And you got to disclose it all. But shake hands on what your deal is. Now, there's different ways to do things. Like I said, if you're an agent, you can nail it down. Just put a big fee in there. Because I'm telling you something, that's what's so sweet. Have you ever heard a bank asking a broker for their commission agreement? What kind of brokerage fee do you have, sir? Let me see your commission agreement. Not once in my life. Now, given that, I might have a few bankers online. And y'all might ask me in the future. So we won't go too far into that. But let me tell you this here. It's like a sacred document. Oh, you'll find out at the time of closing. But by that time, it's okay, believe me. By that time, it doesn't matter. Because the title company dispersed the funds. And they have to disperse them based upon what the agreement is. But you want to always have an inspection period. When we do commercial properties, we want inspection periods. Asbestos and all of that. It's shocking that residential don't have it. You go look at it and say you want it. Well, aren't you going to go through and look at it? Aren't you going to send an inspector through? Aren't you going to do your homework? I mean, I can't believe it. So I'm approaching you from a commercial point of view because, quite frankly, I do commercial transactions. I love the houses. I want to tell you something, by the way. The juice is kind of out of apartments now. The cap rates are low, and we get into what a cap rate is. The prices are ridiculous. But the juice is in the houses. Now's the time to buy and rent, I think. And when the price goes up, you can sell. Although you can get a mortgage for $70,000, you can sell it, and your buyer can get a mortgage for $75,000 over and above the market value. But who's going to do such a thing? Who's going to say, I'm going to pay you way more than the market value? Now, there's a way that could be done and structured, and we'll talk about that. We got plenty of time and plenty of webinars. And for those of you who haven't drunk the juice, I want you to forget about the juice you drunk, all right? Drink my juice. You understand? Those in Strather Academy, you got to do a deal to graduate. And some of my students are online, I see. You understand? And you've heard it before, and you know what we're talking about. So, and I'm going to put in a little commercial, stratheracademy.com. You could go online. You can join us. You're real busy. You can just do an online course. And everybody that's online, I'm going to invite you to come to my class this week or next week. Next Thursday is graduation now. So you can kind of see at the end how everybody buy their deals. And we're at 15400 Grand River, second floor. But it's a little early for the advertisement. Let's keep earning and learning. Okay, here's the big deal. Have an easy purchase agreement to fill out and move fast. So we have a structured purchase agreement in our forms. Now, if you go to Strather Academy, go all the way down to the very bottom of the page, stratheracademy.com, and it says Student Corner. Click on Student Corner and just type in the code. And all the forms come up you can use. Use my form. Believe me, it's structured right. You don't have to worry about it. So let's talk about hard money lending. Let's just have some discussion about it, because I promise you some discussion on it, but I want to spend quality time with it. And it seems to me that talking about just hard money loaning without getting and controlling the deal is kind of putting the cart before the horse. So, but I still want to talk to you about it, because some of you may have deals. You say, Herb, I'm just looking for some cash. And that's good. You can always come to our class or call me up. I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to give you my cell number. Can I do that? Okay, I'll think about it. Good locations only. That's where the hard money lending come from. Good locations only. Do not bring in any marginal locations. Let's look. Lenders cannot make tiny loans. It's predatory. They couldn't make a loan in most cases under 40 if they wanted to, because the fixed amount, like the fixed appraisal amount or the application fee, if you add it to the interest rate, it pushes it on a small loan into predatory lending. But on a larger loan, it can absorb the application fee and all of that kind of stuff without going into the predatory lending category. So what hard money lender want to loan you a deal that's low income? And then the supply and demand, the theft, the interest, everything is terrible about it. So they want you to get properties in higher end so that if you default, they can take it over. Now, many of them want a $75,000 minimum loan. Some of them want 60, and there are a number of them that will go lower. I got one that'll do 20,000, for example. But you know what? They want $3,000 fee per deal. Now, that's quite a fee. However, the fact of the matter is, if you're buying something worth 50 or 60 grand and you need the money, that's not so bad. Those of you with IRAs, you self-directed IRAs, you can take and deploy your funds like that too. Pretty good. You can get good returns. So minimum $80,000 values only. Do not bring anything that's less than $80,000 to the table. Now, also you have 600 to 650 credit scores. Some of them say, we don't care about the credit scores. They're lying. Everybody care about a credit score. Can you imagine you don't care about a credit score? Of course you care about a credit score. They feel better if you have a credit score. If you don't have the credit score and you have a hell of a deal that they really like, they still may very well consider that. And sometimes it's not necessarily the credit score. It may be your payment history, which they did pay. They say, well, this person got a low credit score for the simple reason they haven't taken out any credit. You understand? If you haven't done any credit activity, you can have a low score. That's a lot different than having the ROGs and the like. I started to say judgments and liens, but you know what the good news is? I like to throw in some tidbits. As of July the 11th, all judgments, liens, public record documents are off your credit report. Did you know that? That's good news. So if you had a judgment on your credit report, it's no longer on it. It's illegal to be on it. So all of a sudden, everybody's credit score jumped up and everybody's having a ball. Okay, now let's talk about this last item. And John, if you're around anywhere, we may have some questions. So flip first with concessions, then slam dunk. What are you talking about, Herb? So I got to talk in codes just a little bit. So let's say that you understand this Detroit Home Mortgage Program as an example. And you find a property in a nice area, and you are able to go in and you can sell someone the ideal of buying the home. Maybe it's already fixed up, or maybe you can set aside some money to fix it up. Or maybe there's some seller concessions that entices them. Like they make them get rid of their student loan if it's not too much. Now the bank do not want to hear about this. There are seller concessions, but that got to be the seller's money. But suppose you tie the deal up, you found the deal, you tied it up and you flipped it first, and then you went to your hard money lender. Now you got a different deal. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let's go with that. We say you found it. Then you, because we said find, fund, finance, fix, or flip. So you find and flip, and then finance. Oh my God. So we have programs that you can finance now at 525 credit score. Can you imagine that? You have to put a little bit more money down, but a seller concession can give you that money to put down. You got it. It can show about financing. There's a lot of different ways to finance: hard money, private money, the 525 program, joint home mortgage program. Veterans can borrow 100%. Reverse mortgages are off the hook. Off the hook. It's the very best financing in the world. Think about it. And if you go buy you a house right now that's depressed, let it go up in value. You pay your seasoning in 6 months. You have to make the payment 6 months. No more payments after. Live a good life. How about if you're a veteran, 100% veteran? Guess what? You have no property taxes, and you will have no mortgage payment. And we love vets. If any of you are 100% vets and all of that, we want you to come join us. Now, I'll throw in a couple more commercials since we're at the end of it. We're starting the Strather Brookins apprenticeship program. And those who have children or are looking for a job, send them our way. We'll take good care of you. And you can earn while you learn. You got a 30-day probation period, and after the 30 days, guess what? You get paid as you learn electrical, plumbing, drywall, all that kind of stuff. That's a good thing. And once again, I'm sending this invitation out to all of you to come to my class Thursdays or Tuesdays, Tuesdays or Thursdays. Now, there's a class on Mondays, too, from 6 to 8. It's a small group and acquisition class, and we want you to, if you can only make it Monday, we will allow you that. But our Tuesdays and Thursday classes, we only have 3 of them left. And the heartbreak is already happening because I'll fall in love with my students. Everybody's going to do a deal, we hope, or have some meaningful participation as a joint venture into a deal. So this is exciting. I hope you understood what I said. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you get your other friends to join the mastermind group. So John is here. John, can you help us now? What's next if some of my friends want to ask the master some questions?
All right. Well, let's go back to you. I'm hoping that you guys can also see Herb right now. And if there's anybody that wants to ask questions, you can open up your mics one at a time. Herb, pick who will ask the questions and feel free.
So who is
There's no video.
Oh, it's coming back. No problem at all. Okay, so do you have any questions to ask Herb?
I have a question.
Who is this? Can you identify yourself?
We got a phone number for you.
But go ahead. Yeah, so what's your question?
Hi, Herb. Hi, Mr. Hill.
Hey, who's
I
that?
don't know if you can. This is Ray Offset.
Hey, Ray.
What up, Ray? We see you. Everybody can see you.
Is that Ray? That's not Ray.
No, who is that? Oh, there's Ray down there.
Oh, there go Ray at the bottom. Hey, Ray. Hello there, dear. You wasn't in class yesterday. What's going on?
I'm even at home watching the class. That's how much I love it.
Okay, dear.
Anyway,
What we're going to do is we're going to switch so we can see. Okay, go for it.
No, that's
what's
not
the
Ray.
prevailing rate with the hard money lenders right now?
What did you say, dear?
What's the prevailing rate with the hard money lenders right now?
Well, it depends on what deal you're doing. The last deal I did was at 193.20 Greenfield, and we borrowed $1.3 million and we paid 6%. Now that was a credit score lender, but it the typical deal is 12 to 15%. But if you got great credit, you may get it as low as 8%. If it's a commercial transaction, um, a hard money lender is defined as anybody that is going to loan money over the prevailing rate, even if it's a half a point. You fall into the hard money lending category. But you know what I love about it? It's non-recourse. We had a bank, one of the local banks here, that was going to loan us the money at 5%, but for 20 years. But personal recourse. I didn't. The answer to your question is about 1% a month or 12%. So, anybody got any more questions?
Yes. Now the class is $2,500 now, right?
$2,500. That's it. That's all it is. But let me tell you this other thing too. If you're going to buy some real estate, we can creatively use that $2,500. Because if you're going to be doing financing, you're going to need 3.5% down. And we might just use it for your down payment. And then once you close, you pay your tuition. You got that?
Yeah, that ain't no problem because, like I said earlier, because I see when the classes start, and I probably can, because I know you, last time I talked to you, you told me, you try to work, you try to work with the student and stuff. So, because I'm like 1,500. So I want to see what can I do, because if that window's still open for me.
Yeah, come on in. As a matter of fact, come in Thursday or Tuesday or this coming Thursday, and you all are going to get the end of a class plus the whole complete class. So you could come in, and if you all have a burning desire, you're going to make it. You may not have a lot of cash, credit, or collateral. If you do, great. But you got to have a commitment. That's important. And you got to have a cell phone, a computer, and a car. Those are the three things we want. You can come in and pay even half in many cases and make your deal, make your fee. You understand? So we will creatively use it. We want to hold your hand to close the deal. That's the objective. Me teaching is one thing. You having an experience is something that's different. Because in order for you to become a developer, a real investor, you got to close the deal. Right?
You the man. I'm listening to you.
But you got to close the deal, because otherwise, you hear my philosophy, but you're going to be scared. And that's what this whole mastermind is about, to keep you connected. So I want you to go get your friends and next time and have them join, because it's going to be off the hook now. I'm telling you now, we're going to deal strictly with this financing, and I'm going to show you how to take and pull cash out at closing. Making a deal, pulling 25,000, 20,000 out is going to be off the hook. I'll show you how to do it. In the meantime, I want all of you to come either, and you can confirm 313-444-9691. Just call in and say, Herb, I am confirming I'm going to be there Tuesday, or I'm going to be there Thursday, and we're going to have a seat for you.
That ain't no problem. That's no problem. I'm looking forward to it, because I remember when I was at your class, you was talking about how the home ownership in Detroit is falling from like 45 to 40, and this is the best time to come in, because once the window closed, that's it.
Well, once those prices go back up, it's going to be more difficult, either the prices or the interest rate. Just look at it like this. A house that cost $200,000 10 years ago, the mortgage payment was $1,600 a month. $200,000 at about an 8% debt constant. That's 6.5% over 30 years. So it was $1,600. That same house now is like $100,000, and the interest rate is 3.85. The debt constant is not even 6%. 6% on 100,000 is $500. So the same house that you paid $1,600 for 10 years ago payment, you only have to pay $500. $500 now. Of course you should make your move now. What are you waiting for? Times to get better? Are you waiting for values to go up, the interest rate to go up? Look, this is a magic moment in Motown. You can get rich and have a stairwell to financial freedom. What would you do with an extra 50 grand? I have many students that have made $500,000. You know what $500,000 is? It's very simple. And what I mean, they've taken less than $25,000. The truth of the matter is one of them took $6,000. You go on the website and look at Paula's story. She took $6 grand. First, she paid $30,000 to fortune builders or somebody. And then she was in tears. She came to me. Her husband wouldn't even give her any more money. Paula, if you're on the line, I love you, baby. And then she borrowed $6,000 from her daughter who had a financing company. She took that $6,000, joined me. She get $5,500 a month cash flow. She was a mortgage broker working 12 hours a day, and she was sick of it. Now she got a smooth cash flow. What would you do if you had $6 grand a month coming in and you didn't have to sit up and bust your butt? You can do a lot of things. You can pay off your student loans. You could take a cruise. You could take me to dinner.
I ain't got no problem with that. I ain't got no problem. You the man.
All right. I really love everybody. I want you to know. And there is another question. If it is, let's see if there's somebody else got a question. Okay, now remember, tomorrow at 6:30, at 6 o'clock, 15400 Grand River. You are invited to join us.
And we'll be doing this webinar again.
Is that 11?
Yeah, we'll be doing this 1100. We'll be doing this webinar again next Wednesday. Carmen will send out a notification, or you get a notification. I believe it's at 1 o'clock next Wednesday, Herb. I believe it's at 1 o'clock.
What's that?
The webinar.
It's 1 o'clock. That's good.
Yeah.
And also on the November the 18th, Saturday, from 1 to 4 o'clock, I'm gonna have a boot camp for you, so you can come there. And you're going to get me live, and I have you for 3 hours. And you know, this is not just a bunch of promotional talk. This is education that you're getting. So if you want an education to learn how to do it like I tell you. I've done a couple billion in deals, so you know I know a thing or two. I know a thing or two.
Okay. Is there any other questions before we close down the webinar?
Okay.
All right.
I love everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Bye-bye.